Three. Hello, and welcome to this week's Devil the Detail podcast. I'm Rob Paxson, and we're here talking all things Salford Red Devils. Joining the show this week, as ever, we've got Paul Whiteside. How's your week been, mate? Been off for a couple of weeks. What have you been up to?
I haven't been off.
We have. As the podcast.
We've been off. I thought you were going to say I've been off. No, I've been busy. I've been all right, mate. Just plodding along at work as you do, and sort of missing the rugby a bit, really, mind you. I was missing the rugby, and then all of a sudden, big news broke, didn't it? I was just about to relax and put my slippers on, and all this has happened. So I'm sure we'll talk about that. But I'm all right, mate. I hope you two are.
Yeah, good. Just for the record, Paul Whiteside keeps the economy going. That's why he's not feel like he's been off for the last 2 weeks. I've had a good week this week. My son attends a kind of charity gaming called Everyone Can. So I spent Saturday with him doing a 24-hour gaming stream, which was good. Met a YouTuber called Peaceful, which was good. One of his heroes, so he got all a bit starry-eyed, same as when I know Rangi Chase walks in the room for me. So that was good. So he raised loads of money for Everyone Can, which was great fun. So I had a good weekend. I'm also joined by Paul Parkin. How was your week been, Parky?
A little bit hectic, up and down last week. Missed, up till today, really, where it seems to have all gone very flat all of a sudden. But last week, it was. There was plenty going on. Obviously, at the end of the season coming, and as Paul sort of mentioned, there was a little bit of action happened in between, and players, the awards and all that kind of thing. Great, really good week. Went really fast, and that's why I'm sort of. When you said that about not being on for 2 weeks, I was thinking, wow. Really, it's gone really fast. But like Paul said as well, this weekend's the first weekend we've not had a game. Well, I mean, besides most of the season through COVID, but and I'm missing it. I watched the games this weekend on Sky, the championship games, fantastic. I wish they put more of them on, by the way. Just plodding on through life as you do, and trying to keep head above water, that sort of thing. But it's been a good week.
Yeah, so we've got loads to talk about because we've not done one for a couple of weeks. So we're going to start with the big news. Coming out from the club. So the big news is Richard Marshall and the club have parted company. Paul, how did you feel about that?
I was pretty shocked, Rob, to be honest with you. It wasn't what I was expecting. Trying to think how I found out. I was working. I come home and I think it flashed up on me. I saw something it was on Twitter. I think is it Aaron Bauer or someone had put something on, and there was a story on the evening news, and it wasn't quite confirmed by the club or anything. I think it was the day after when the club confirmed it, but the rumours started to gather pace the night before, and just disappointed, really. I mean, I didn't see it coming. I can see it from both ways, really. I mean, for me, if we was going to sack Richard Marshall, why didn't we sack him earlier in the season when we were struggling? Because he did have that really poor run and we kept faith with him then. And I sort of thought to myself, we were starting to show signs of improvement. The whole game and the Warrington game where we should have won, then we beat St. Helens. So there was sort of things happening there. He's signed some players as well that he's picked. And now you're thinking to get rid of him, the new coach has got to come in. Will the new coach rate these players he's signed, or will there be now surplus to requirement? It just seems a strange decision. I mean, he's not even been at the club 12 months, has he? And he's probably one of the shortest sort of tenures we've had. We don't normally sack coaches and get rid of coaches, do we? So, no, just a bit surprised with it, really, Rob. And, I wouldn't say I'm dead disappointed. I mean, he's always been all right with me when I've spoke to him. He's a nice bloke and that, but obviously results on the pitch weren't great last season. So, no, I just didn't expect the news, to be honest with you. I'll be honest.
Yeah, a 31.8 win % ratio, Parky. We had a quick look at all the other coaches that we've had, and our best ones and in the first season were between 30 and 50%. So for me, he was in a kind of a crossroads situation, and it seems like the people in charge, Paul King, and various other people involved in that sort of process have decided to go early.
Yeah, like Paul, I was a little bit shocked. I thought that we like you say, we got through this year, which has been absolute chaos, hasn't it? With COVID and one thing and another, and he'd come through it. There were shoots of maybe a little bit of progress, but it had been a struggle of a season. We hadn't played the best rugby. We hadn't, our discipline was a huge problem. It didn't seem to get corrected at all, which was a worry as to how much power maybe a coach has over a team to change mentality or whatever. But either way, it was a shock. And obviously something there that the board, who, as we know, they work for the club for the best reasons. They're not just, businessmen coming from the outside just trying to splash a bit of cash. They are Salford fans, and I don't think they would have taken it lightly to let Richard go. I wasn't going to cry over it. I'll say that. His style of rugby didn't work for me. I think he tried too many times to play through the forwards, which didn't work. Yet we had, outside backs that most teams in Super League would have loved, but they're all sort of minor things that go on. You don't know the full story or anything like that. But as I said to Paul and others, I probably get more upset about certain, players come and go, coaches come and go. But I think certain players would be more important than certain coaches. I think you can replace a coach a lot easier than you can certain players. And I think, going forward, what is there a case of that? Is it a case of, I don't know, was he going to attract the right players? That was another thing. Could he keep the players he had? We don't know the whole thing, but I wish him all the best. He obviously put all his heart and soul into the place, and it was his first crack at Super League, and it's not easy. There's only 12 jobs, isn't there? It's or whatever. He's cut his teeth at a lower level. He's had a go. Hopefully, he's learned a lot from that, and we'll stick in coaching, and who knows, come back in a few years and prove everybody wrong. But big surprise, big turn up for the club. Like Paul said, we were ready just to relax a little bit for the winter months and wait for the signings to come in and new kit and the fixtures and that kind of thing. And this happens, and already we're, like you say, we're probably a little bit behind the 8 ball in terms of a coach coming in. If he is going to come in from the outside, there's all sorts of speculation. But then he's got to get to grips with the squad that's there now, who he'd like, you know what I mean? We said this year that Richard Marshall didn't have his team. He took over players that he'd inherited, that Ian Watson had signed for the year before. Now it was going to be this year that it'd be his main testing ground. Well, now it's somebody else's. Now what do we do if it's not quite going well after 6-8 games next year? And he can't use the excuse, well, this isn't my team. It's got to be sorted. So a lot of things to sort of work out going forward. But it's interesting and it's never dull, is it? Let's be honest. If being a Salford fan, you're always kept on your toes.
Yeah, I obviously I spoke to him in the final press conference. Didn't show any kind of clue that he was on his way. Obviously, must have been a kind of a review and all kind of came out from that, didn't it? Really. On-field highlights for me would have been Huddersfield away, Hull FC at home. Two good wins there. But like you said, it was kind of building up, and obviously the club have thought we want to go a different direction with a different person. That's fine. Looking at the possible replacements, Paul, there is a few on the market, but like Parky said, if you're going to bring in someone like Chris Chester or James Ford from York or Danny Ward, you're in the same position as you were with Richard Marshall last year. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens really and who they decide to replace him with.
Yeah, what's Chris Chester ever won? He's been all right at Wakefield, hasn't he? But I don't know whether I'd go down that road. Danny Ward, James Ford, not really proven at that level, are they? So I don't know. You'd be taking a chance, wouldn't you, on somebody? And sometimes you've got to do that. But there's something that made me chuckle the other night. I was thinking of what you always say, Salford being an opportunity club. Yeah. And I thought, well, for Richard Marshall, that'd be an opportunity club because they've took his opportunity away from him. So, because like you said, like Parky said there, I can only agree with, about his team and that. To me, you've not given somebody a chance. But I suppose we don't really know. Richard Marshall might have wanted something and the club have said, you're not having that, and he's walked away. So you don't know. We don't know whether he's been sacked, he's resigned, or what. So we probably never know because these things never come out. You've only got to go back to the days of Yestin Harris when he was there. has he been embargoed when he left the club? He's never said a word about it, has he? So you don't tend to find these things out. But it'll be interesting to see who comes in. I know there's something in the League Express today about maybe Danny Orr, but I don't know whether I go down that road because he was already there with Richard Marshall, wasn't he? So it will be interesting. You know, Paul Rowless, everyone, you know, I've spoken to a few people who seem to think Paul would be up for the job. Did he apply for it last time? I didn't think he did. So what had changed with his hunger to take it this time? So it'd be really interesting to see what happens. That James Ford at York, yeah, he did a decent job, but had a bit of a struggle this season, hasn't he? So I don't know. There's a lot of names out there, isn't there? Somebody mentioned to me Brian McDermott. Please God, no. don't want him, to be honest. And I'm not. He's all right, but he's a bit of a waffler at a minute on the quiet. So we'll have to wait and see, I suppose, won't we? But it's exciting. It's always exciting when something like this happens. You know, obviously the disappointment of losing a coach, but there's always the excitement of a new start, a fresh start, and somebody else coming in with new ideas. So we'll have to see what it's going to be.
Yeah, I think club philosophy is important, Parker, and you know, with the players that we've got and the, you know, what they're trying to build at the club with the sort of the academies and the youth development and all that. Does it count out the likes of Brian McDermott, who is kind of an old school sort of coach in his approach and the way he does it? Like I said, James Ford at York, he has, like Paul said, he's not had much of a season this season, but that might give us an advantage in trying to persuade him to come and have a crack at the top level. So he might be one to watch. But you know, Paul Rowley, he's already in the system. He knows those players, and it might sort of benefit us in the build up to the new season if you have someone who's already in the system pulling the strings.
I think it is a tough one. I think there's various ways you can look at it. I mean, you mentioned McDermott, not somebody that I would want, but certainly somebody who would command a certain amount of respect from players because they know he's been there, he's won grand finals, you know, he's done what he's done in his coaching career. For me, probably not the right man, but I could see that. Chris Chester, he's worked with very little at Wakefield. It worked for a while, but it faded, and you know, I'm not sure whether he's the right man. Ford, again, we're going down that road of giving somebody a chance, fine, but it's always us that gives somebody their first job. You know, to find their footing. We need somebody who knows rugby league, who knows rugby league at the top level, who works at that level. We give Ian Watson a chance. In the end we touched lucky and it worked. I mean, no one's mentioned his name for the job yet. You know, but even before that, Iestyn Harris came in. You know, even go back to Carl Harrison, who did a magnificent job, Andy Gregory, people like that. We seem to be the team that say, you know, Kevin Tamata, here's the role, go and take it. Sometimes I think we err on the side of, well, probably value for money, shall we say. We don't really. I know we've gone down the noble route, but he was the wrong man. Kukas made massive mistakes bringing him in. He wasn't connected with the game enough at that point. His tactics and things had moved. Everything had moved on. I'd like somebody who's in the game, but it's who you get. You're not going to go into any other club in Super League and take their coach off them. You know, that's just not on the card. So tough choice. I personally think, and I know what Paul was saying about he didn't apply for it last time, so why now? But somebody like Paul Rowley, who knows the club, he would already know the players that have signed for next year. So he would have some kind of, you know, maybe input in actually signing them. I don't know whether he'd have worked with Richard Marshall about bringing players in. You know, he's already got the oversight of what's available. He knows the club, he knows the finances, you know, and this DNA we spoke about earlier in the year about bringing it through from the kids, you know, to reserves to a first team. He's got that already. He's in place. But then he has had jobs before. We know that. And was he successful at a level, but not particularly at Super League level? So it is an impossible task unless we go outside these names that we've heard. You know, do we go abroad? Well, now with COVID, I think it makes it a lot more difficult to get a coach over here, to get them settled. I don't think that's an option. So it's going to be a struggle. I'm sure this is part of the thing when I say about, you know, Paul King and the guys. They've had to take all this into account, knowing that this is now what's got to happen in the next few weeks really to start looking at players that we might still need to recruit, to look at any plans for next year, any pre-season games he wants or whatever. They've got all this to do. They've got to interview. They've got to make sure people want the job. And the only other ones that we've heard of, obviously, there's a rumour of Lee Breers again, first job. Nobody knows if he could do the job. Would he have respect to the players? Don't know. Henderson, who's been at Warrington for a while, he's got a great reputation within the game. Is it worth taking a punt on somebody like him? So, we could list names forever, couldn't we? It's going to be tough for the club, but hopefully they had something lined up before this. This wasn't just a knee-jerk reaction at the end of the season. I think this must have been something that had been considered for a few weeks before that.
I think the thing is, Paul, with Paul Rowley, is he head of our youth development or something like that? So if you're going to put him in charge of that main head coach role, who takes over the youth of head of youth, let's say? Because that's an equally important job. The way we're kind of restructuring the club now, trying to get the college kids through, the Welsh link as well. It's certainly a job that's got full of challenges.
I think you've got a man there who'd probably be ready to take over from Paul Rowley, Danny Barton. I think Danny's done a tremendous job at Salford, and I'd have every faith in him to carry on and do that. With Paul Rowley, what you got to remember with Paul as well is he came in 2019 to assist Ian Watson, and he was in Wattle's assistant. And if you look back to that season, when Paul came in, we seemed to go really well and turn the corner and then go on that fabulous run to the grand final. So I think he did have a real good positive effect on the team, and I think he seemed to work well with Ian Watson. So he's quite a relaxed character as well, Paul Rowley, I think, these days. I think he's changed a bit from how he was, I think, when he was Lee's coach, without sounding derogatory to him. He always seemed to have a bit of a chip on his shoulder to me back then when he was Lee's coach, and I think he's mellowed out over the last few years and probably matured a bit into the coaching role. And every time I've spoken to him and said hi to him, he always seems switched on. He's a very knowledgeable man as well, and I wouldn't have a problem with Paul Rowley taking over as coach. But yeah, Danny Barton to keep him working there in the youth development, I think that'd be great. I think he's done a terrific job at Salford and is a real unsung hero.
Parky, is this Paul King's biggest decision as a Salford's director chairman so far? The replacement for Richard Marshall?
Yeah, probably. I mean, he's got a lot on, hasn't he, at the moment with the stadium, possible move and everything else. I mean, he's got a real poison chalice in so many ways. But yeah, it is. You've got to get it right. Next season, 4 teams, is it going to get relegated or something? Or however they want to work it. They might even change it. It might be 2 down, but you don't want to be in that bottom 2. So they've got to get this right. They've got to get recruitment right, but they've got to get the right man to knit the team together. And I am a little worried. I'll be honest. I don't know if we'll have enough. But like Paul just mentioned, then I completely forgot about that 2019, not the season. Obviously, I'll never forget that as long as I live. But that build up from when he came in to help Watto, just to give him a hand. He was an advisor, wasn't he? He wasn't even I don't think he was hired as a coach. I think he just sort of did it on a day-to-day basis, or a rolling contract or whatever. And he's ended up staying. And like you say, the youth thing is important, but Paul obviously has oversight of that, so he could easily pass that if he needed to, transfer it to Danny Barton or whoever they want. And the other thing is, then, as so often happens, when you get rid of a manager, generally the coach goes with him, Danny or whatever. Is Danny going to stay? Is Danny, is he still part of the plans? If somebody else comes in, they might want to bring their own. There's another problem. What do you do with that? Is he under contract? Would he have to be paid? Yeah, it's a massive, can of worms, isn't it? But as I say, I'm sure Paul and Bleasy and everybody else had looked at this before they jumped. And now we've just got to try and stay positive and hope that whoever gets the job, we give them the support as we would, and just trust the people to make the right decision. Trust the people, trust the process, Paul.
Yeah, you've got to do, haven't you, Rob? I mean, I'm not losing any sleep over it. You just go with what happens, don't you, and carry on turning up next season and supporting the team. At the end of the day, with the great respect to Richard Marshall, I don't support Richard Marshall. I support Salford Rugby League Club. So, play like Parky hit the nail on the head before. Players and coaches move on, don't they? So you thank them for what they've done, and you move on for it. As a supporter of any sporting club, you don't get to make the decisions, do you? You just got to trust in the people at the top to make the decisions. So, like Parky said, I hope that we did have some sort of planning in place before Richard Marshall went, and it's not just a knee-jerk reaction. But again, I reiterate what I said before. Did we sack Richard Marshall, or did Richard Marshall say, I want this, I want that? Paul King said, you're not having that, and Richard Marshall, well, you're not backing me, I'm going. We don't know, really, do we, what's going on? So I think, it's just a case of moving on now, and I'm excited to see who it comes in. I mean, there's a few names who I'd like to see. John Cartwright, I think, would be one. I'd love to see him come over. Another one I think would be great. I mean, you might laugh at this one, you probably will. What about Craig Bellamy? Wouldn't he like a challenge? I mean, I know he's been at Melbourne Storm all this time, but my message to Craig would be, come and, real. Let's see how good you really are. Let's see if you can sort Salford out. So take up the challenge, Craig.
I think, I think we're more likely to get the Craig Bellamy that used to play up front for Liverpool and Wales than that one, to be fair. But again, you say that it is good to see if any manager would take that challenge. See how good you really are. I mean, Shane Flanagan seems to always be out of work down under, and yet he's got a great reputation. He's had a great record. Somebody like him, but again, the COVID thing, transport, getting them settled, got such a short turnaround now into pre-season. I don't know if that's a goer in this particular time, and maybe this day and age now. And do you get top coaches coming over? I'm not dead sure, but. There'll be someone out there, a Matt Parrish hiding, or a John Harvey, or whatever you want. There's definitely somebody for us. But yeah, it would be interesting actually to see an experienced big name coach come over and take over a struggling team. Let's see if you make a Hollywood movie out of it.
I wonder if it's obviously with these experienced coaches come with big money, don't they? And obviously. Parker, you mentioned it before about giving coaches opportunities coming from, assistant coaches or players or whatever. Are we brave enough to invest heavily in a big name coach rather than invest in the playing squad?
I don't think you can. I think the trouble is that if you say, well, we're going to get, like you say, you're going to get a Shane Flanagan from Australia or whatever, give him John Cartwright, get him over here, get him a house or whatever. But we can't have two key prop forwards for next year. Well, it's pointless then, isn't it? Because no manager's going to do anything with that. So you've got to balance the books, and we haven't got the money. And that's another reason, I think, for keeping it a little bit closer to home than even travelling over to Yorkshire to get somebody. I think somebody from this side of the Pennines who's available and connected. I think that's the only way to go. But I don't know.
No one's going to know until the decision's made, Paul.
No. And just thinking now, you're talking about big name coaches from Australia. We had one, didn't we, in Tim Sheens? We had him and we didn't really get anywhere, did we? But another guy, someone texted me the other day and said, do you think Sean Wayne would be up for the job? I thought, well, I don't know, because I think, is he not in line to take over from Adrian Lamb at Wigan? Would Adrian Lamb fancy the Salford job? The old coach's merry-go-round.
I hope not.
Well, he must be still in the area, because my mum and dad and my sister and the little baby have gone to Lytham for the weekend, and they bumped into Adrian Lamb coming out of a restaurant there the other day, because we'd had let on to him on Sunday. So he's still in the area. So, not that Lytham's anywhere near Salford, so really, but no, interesting. He's going to be interested to see who gets that Wigan job. And I don't know. I like the one before you said about Lee Breers and Andrew Henderson. I mean, I've listened to that Andrew Henderson on the radio doing his commentary work, and he's a very, very knowledgeable guy, real good talker, very enthusiastic, and I'd have no problem with someone like him coming in. He seems a really good guy, and if you've got someone like Lee Breers working with him as well, that could be something. I know there's a few things on Facebook. Somebody put something on the other day about the Walk. Is it the Walker brothers? Somebody, are they at Ipswich Jets?
Ipswich Jets. I don't think
yes.
Yeah, I don't think they're the Ipswich Jets coach now, are they? But they were quite good when they were coaches
Right, I saw that the other day and wondered who they were. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know who I'd give it to. I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all, really. But I think for me, the favourite's probably going to be Paul Rowley.
Yeah, I think the likes of Sean Wayne and people like that, we're not in their price bracket really. We're not, But I mean, Sean has got the World Cup, which he would have been having very soon to look forward to. Then concentrate back on getting himself into Super League or whatever. He's got another year now, and he'll be England coach for another year. Will he try and combine that? I don't think you risk it in a World Cup year. So I don't think that's it. I don't know what you're saying. I mean, it's just a big name in terms of coaching, but the other thing, when you say John Cartwright, the thing that a lot of clubs have done, including Saints and Wigan in the past, he's gone after reserve, coaches at NRL clubs, not the head coach, gone for the step down, and it seems to work. I mean, Saints have had great fortune with it in the last few years, but I think we've got to be realistic with money, and not sacrifice a huge chunk of our small budget on a coach when you can't fill your shirts every week. I think that's going to be the big issue. But it's all exciting, and hopefully we'll find out I would have thought the next 14 days at least. I would expect something. I don't know about everybody else, but got to get cracking.
I'm going to write it down. Lamb to Salford, Paul's dad. That's it.
That's him up.
So we'll have to wait and see what manifests itself in the next few weeks. Next bit of news: Kensio signs 2-year deal. Paul, we needed it. Good player, top try scorer in Super League. I think it's psychological. Obviously, if we lost our top player, becomes a bit of a blow. So getting him signed up for 2 years is a boost.
Massive boost, yeah. I mean, he got into the dream team as well, didn't he? On his try scoring this season, and I don't think he played every game either. He missed a few games, didn't he? So yeah, he's done tremendously well. And it's funny, really, because without being pessimistic, it looked like he was going. It looked like Wakefield in for him, and then all of a sudden, Richard Marshall moves on, and Kensio signs a new deal. So I found that a bit odd, really. But that's another story, isn't it? Great result for us, that signing Kensio one, and they're the sort of players that you need to build your side round, aren't they? I mean, Kensio's a very, very experienced player, played on the other side of the world as well. Got a terrific try record. So I think it's a real coup for us to keep hold of him.
Paul, I'm the conspiracy theorist. You deal in facts. Let's get this right. Parky, where do you rate Kensio in the all-time Salford wingers greats?
That's a good question. I mean, how far are we going back? 140 years. I didn't see them all. I know
what you've seen.
I know I'm looking my years now, but that's a bit too much. He's definitely as a finisher.
Yeah,
he's sensational. You know what I mean? We've had some really good wingers, and the amount of tries he scored length of the field as well is something that we've had wingers who got limited pace, but have been big, strong lads who can crash over the line, or vice versa. He can do it all. I mean, that try against Hull, I think it's up for try of the month at the moment, where he obviously Sarge has kicked it across the pitch, he's caught it, grubbed it between two players, and I mean, that's on the spot thinking. That's genius. He's well up there. Of course he is. I mean, top try scorer in Super League. We've not had a top try scorer since the 70s in a top flight league. That's how good he is. He's in the dream team. And like Paul just said, he didn't play all the games. He's a sensational winger. He sends out a message that we haven't done for quite a while. You think of Jacko and even Ben Murdoch, Masilla, and Rob Louis or whatever. Teams come in and say, we're having him. That's it. Teams wanted Kensio, probably on both sides of the world. I don't know, but and as Paul King said at the awards, oddly enough, he said people on Twitter and so on, not a direct quote, but moaning that we can't keep hold of our best players, and we just did, and that's a statement for a club of size, stature and budget entitlements, to keep hold of the one player that, if he'd have gone, everyone would have gone, same old Salford, letting the players go. It wouldn't matter who else went or who else came in. Salford couldn't keep hold of Kensio, and we did, and we've kept him. You know, 19 tries this year in Super League in a team that rarely scored more than 14, 15 points a game. That's some effort. I know he scored 4 against Hull, so that's, you know, virtually a quarter of his tries in one game. But no, he's a sensational winger. It's a great statement for us. Shame that Inu couldn't stay with him, because I think as a partnership it was unreal. Really, really good. Inu was brilliant at making that space and getting the ball out, and the interceptions that he got quite a bit for him, that sort of thing. But you know, we have got a strong back line, and it's just brilliant. It's great news. We've fought off competition, and maybe it says something about Kenny, how happy he is. You know, he didn't want to move, didn't want to look elsewhere. He could have even gone somewhere for less money or the same money for a new challenge. Done it here at Salford now. You know, his mate Tui obviously leaving. Inu, his mate, leaving. You know, he's lost mates while he's been with us, Junior and people or whatever. And he could have gone, you know, it's time for a fresh challenge, and he hasn't. So he's obviously happy, content in the area. You know, his wife must be settled, because that's the one thing that a lot of sportsmen from abroad tend to find difficult. The family don't settle. So no, great statement of intent, and fingers crossed there's a couple more to come and join him.
Yeah, opportunity club transitioning into a playoff club, Paul, in my opinion. If you lose Kensio, you'll go back to square one. So to keep him in a red shirt is a massive boost for everyone.
It is, yeah. I think we need a bit more than Kensio, but he's a start. It is a start that, you know, keeping hold of him. He's a good player, very good player. As I said it before, you give Kensio a chance and he'll take it. You know, some wingers need 4 or 5 chances to take him. Kensio doesn't. You give him half a sniff and he's away. So he is. I think if you offered Kensio to lots of Wigan and St Helens, he'd probably be up there taking him, because he's that good a player for me. I think he's a terrific finisher. Glad we've kept hold of him, and yeah, we just need to. Obviously, there's other areas of the squad we need to strengthen and things like that. But no, Kensio's an integral part of that, and I think Parky hit the nail on the head before. Me and my dad were having this conversation about, you know, Kensio staying, and it's right. You're dead right about his family life and things like that. I think there's a lot to be said for that. You know, I think Ken's quite settled here now, isn't he? And his wife apparently works in town, I think. So that's all well and good, and I think it's good that the club look after the players, don't they, and make sure that they've got somewhere good to live and they're in the community that they're in. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said for that. Salford's not a bad place, is it? Quite a vibrant area now. You know, you've got the Keys and things like that. Manchester's nearby, so it's quite a good place to live. So yeah, I'm glad Ken's staying, and hopefully amongst the tries again next season.
Yeah, other people who've signed new deals, Parky, Jack Ormonroyd and James Greenwood have both signed 2-year deals. Both work hard, both the engine room for our team, both important that they've signed up for 2 more.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jack's come on leaps and bounds again this year. I think he's getting better and better and stronger. He's certainly got, you know, size about him. So he's great. A player that we picked up from nowhere really again, didn't we? I know he came through Leeds initially, but he was kind of lower league. Was it Halifax? I can't remember where we got him from. But he's proven to be a standout first team player now, and I'm delighted because he's only young. You know, he's still got years to his peak as a prop forward, so that's brilliant. And Greenwood, last season 2020, he helped us massively. I think he scored in all 3 rounds of the Challenge Cup. Scored in the final as well. Scored at Wembley. I mean, not many Salford players I'll ever say that. But he's been unlucky, hasn't he, with injuries. But what I've seen of him, certainly the year before, he looked like an outstanding prospect. I know he's been around. I'll say prospect. He's about 30, and he's not a kid, but he's still got lots to give. And we missed him this year at times. I think he'd have added a lot to the team because he's a player with a lot of skill with the ball in hand. He gets good offloads, but he's got a bit of pace for a big guy. So great to keep hold of these players. No point churning players over every year. 10, 12 players every year. You've got to try and keep these players together to create that bond as well between the squad and its legacy planning. We've had Moose here for God knows how many years now, who's always passed on that him and Flash and people like that, and Tyke MacArthur, that ethic of this is what we do. We're us, and this is what we're planning to do. And I think he's good to keep hold of these lads. and hopefully we get to see a bit more of Greenwood next year, and Jack just keeps progressing.
Yeah, I think I've got to agree with Parky there, Paul, that, these two lads sort of offer a lot. Obviously, with Greenwood being injured this season, he'll be raring to go for next season. And all good teams have the likes of Armonroyd and Greenwood in them. You have your superstars, but you also have the people who make the hard yards and make the tackles. And these two lads are them.
Yeah, I've been very, very impressed with Jack Armonroyd. I think it took him a while to find his feet in the team. But for me, he became one of the best forwards of the season. He's running the ball in really hard. He's a big, strong lad, and he's an aggressive runner as well. And he's got a bit of pace. When he gets through, Jack, he's pretty quick. So I'm glad he stayed. He's got a good attitude as well. With James Greenwood, I think he's a really good player, but he's just struggled with injury. And hopefully those injuries will be behind him. Every player sort of has times when they go through injuries, don't they, and has bad luck and things like that. And things don't go right with your rehab, and perhaps he's just had a bit of a difficult time this season. But he's a fit lad. He'll be back next season stronger. And we've got some other good young forwards here. Look at Jack Wells. I've been impressed with him this season, the way he's improved, and he struggled. He's had a few suspensions and he's had his injury issues as well. Then you've got another lad in Sam Luckley he's just been picked for Scotland, hasn't he? And credit to him, because he's worked really hard this season. He had to wait for his opportunity, didn't he? Probably maybe half a dozen games into the season, 8 games into the season before he actually got a chance. But then he's been impressive. So yeah, there's some good players in that pack that will go on again next season.
Yeah, new signing, Ryan Braley has joined us from Lee. Parker, Salford lad, ex-Lee, ex-Huddersfield, can play standoff, can play fullback, kicks goals, experienced, kind of person that we need to go forward.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, I mean, he's been around for that long. When he said he was like 29, I was thinking he's got to be older than 29 now. But no, he could be, and I'm not putting pressure on the guy and saying he's this kind of same player, but he could be our sort of version of Steph Ratchford, a player that can comfortably fill positions at fullback, halfback, whatever. A lot of experience, like you say, goal kicking, which we've lost in him anyway. It gives us a great option, so versatile, and as a Salford lad, it'll mean a little bit more to him, I think, now. I mean, every time he's played against us, he's always seems to score. They're scoring against us, so hopefully he likes scoring for us. And if we can get, obviously Jack Wells back on the pitch, another Salford lad, Cal Watkins, another Salford fan. Who knows what's going to happen? Could we pull in Ellis Robson? Could we keep him? That's that. Remember at the start of the year, we got 5 Salford lads in the first team. Could it happen sooner than we think? You know what I mean? Not quite the way we mean, because we're going to bring them through from youth, but it's a start, isn't it? It's a that kind of thing where you can go out to the local community and say, look, I was on the terraces once. I was like you, to the kids, and this is where I am. I'm playing for the club that I loved as a kid. So good signing, Ryan Braley. Like I say, so talented but flexible, can play anywhere, versatile player that in the modern game you've got to have. You can't, you don't generally just have a player who plays there and that's it. So it'd be it's a good move for us.
Yeah. Do you think, Paul, that being a local lad and a Salford fan, you get that extra 1% out of him, because obviously he's living our dream, playing in a Salford shirt?
Yeah, I think there's that. There's a couple of things on that. I think with him as well. I think he's come up to Super League, hasn't he? Went to Huddersfield and it didn't quite work out the way he wanted to. So I think he'll be desperate to succeed at Super League level, won't he? And I thought Parky was going to steal my thunder and say, when he said about Stephen Ratchford, I was going to compare him to Richie Myler, because you look at what Richie Myler does for Leeds. He scores loads and loads of tries for them because he's a terrific support player and he backs up. He's always there. You look at Ryan Braley, he's that sort of player. He's a sniffer. He'll sniff out an opportunity. Look at his try record. He averages nearly a try a game. He's got a tremendous try record at every club he's been at. So if we can get him backing people up, and you talk about guys like Sam Luckley who are going to offload the ball, and he's there, that's what we could want. Because I know, talking about Myler there, he was an halfback, wasn't he, earlier in his career, but he's become that sort of player now, playing at full back. are we going to see Ryan Briley playing at full back? I'm not so sure. So, yeah, he's got that to his game. As you said, he's a goal kicker as well, but I think his support play and he's backing up. He's a real runner. So I think he's a very astute signing there. And adding to that he's a Salford, supporter as a kid as well, and he's got the club at heart. I think it's a really, really good signing.
Yeah, let's talk departures now. Tuilola here and Big Seb off to Huddersfield. What do you make of that, Parker?
Well, we knew Seb we were only borrowing him, weren't we, for the last 2 years. I found it odd that they let us have him for an extra year. I'm sure if Watson could have gone to Huddersfield earlier, he'd have tried to scrap that deal if he could and take him back to Huddersfield. Because I heard somebody saying the other day they didn't really rate him, and I thought every time I've seen him play, or virtually every time, he's been outstanding. I don't get the criticism of him. I think he's a really, really good prop forward. I mean, he was in the dream team, 2 or 3 years back at Huddersfield, and then he fell out of favour or whatever happened, I don't know. And he came to us and he's never let us down. And the guy's a cracking player. I'm gutted to see him go. He's at the peak now for me as a prop forward at that age. He's right in the peak of his power, and I think he'll push on. And I think Ian Watson will get firing again, even more so possibly next year. Well, I think we always knew that. It'd been on the cards, hadn't it? It'd been rumoured for months and months that he was going to Huddersfield, but I think it was a last-minute decision. I don't think he was fully committed at the time to go in. I think he was in a sort of 50-50 mind. And at the back end of the season, probably the last month, six games, he'd really started to shine again. He looked confident. He looked happy, and that's what made me start doubting that he was going to leave us. I thought he'd sort of found a new vigor and a new love, and was going to carry on. But it's a shame. Again, another player. He's just going to move on, and that's life. But he's got a lot of talent, and again, versatile. Played a couple of positions, but there have been periods of the season, even in his whole time with us, where I thought he doesn't look fully committed, or he hasn't, shone in the way that I'd wanted. But I mean, when he came to us from Leeds, he was shattered, wasn't he? He had no confidence. Leeds gave him some real stick, and he came to us and seemed to find a new lease of life. And that partnership with him and Jacko was sensational. They were the two. It was kind of good cop, bad cop in many ways. He was the runner, Jacko was the brains, and it worked perfectly. The last year or so, he's had Atkin, he's had Brown, he had Patton for a bit. He's gone through so many other halfback partners. It's hard to stay settled, but no, he'll be lost. He'll be a loss to us. He's been really good, and he will be tough to replace. And I wish him all the best, because he got us into not so single-handedly, but he got us to a grand final, a Challenge Cup final, and I don't think we can ask for more than that. So yeah, all the best to him, and the pair of them back at Huddersfield.
Yeah, I think we're going to miss Big Seb. I think you need a big bopper forward, and it's going to be a challenge to replace him. But we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Tuilola here for me. He was good. Wasn't really consistent enough for me, but like you said, got to a grand final with him, got to a Challenge Cup final with him. He'll probably go down as probably one of the top maybe 5 standoffs at Salford that I've seen. But yeah, like Parky said, Paul, players come and go. They put in a good service for us, and we wish him all the best.
Yeah, I'm a bit good about Seb, because I think he's been great for us. I don't understand the criticism. I think he's a top forward. He runs the ball in really, really hard. He always lands on his front. He gets a quick play of the ball. He's got plenty of pace. Good defender. So Huddersfield are getting a decent player there, a real decent player, and he seems a really good guy as well. I saw him at that open training session the other week, and really friendly sort of fella as well. And yeah, I wish him all the best. Nice bloke. As for Tui, yeah, we've had some good times with Lola here. I mean, he's magnificent on his day, isn't he? The way he steps through. I mean, I always go on about that try he scored in the grand final, the try that never was. It was a great try. His footwork there was outstanding. I think for me, though, his time at Salford has been a bit checkered, really. He's coasted in some games, hasn't he? Coming on in a bit of a cameo role and been great, and then drifted in and out of games. So I think at Huddersfield, he'll be looking to be a bit more consistent. sometimes he's not looked as fit as he should do. So I'm not knocking the lad, though. I think he's a very, very talented player, and I wish him all the best at Huddersfield. I hope it works out for him there. I hope he does well, because the stick that he received at Leeds, I thought was bang out of order. That's another story. I thought they made him a scapegoat there, and he came to Salford, and I thought he did really well on the back of that. And someone asked me the other day about the swap deal, whether we got the better out of the deal with him, with Robert Louis going the other way. But I don't know. I mean, you'd have to ask him. I've not seen all Leeds' matches, so I don't know. But I think too he's worked hard at Salford, and as I said before, it's been a bit checkered and things haven't worked out or whatever. But like Parky said, I thought he was going to stay, because he just seemed to have a big grin on his face every week. Every time you saw him, Steve McCormick was taking pictures of him. He always like beaming smile on his face. I thought, he might have changed his mind. He's going to stay. But no, I wish him all the best. I'm sure he'll do well for Huddersfield, as long as it's not against us.
Yeah, other news, Parky. We've now got a link up with Ipswich Jets, a Queensland club. What do you know? I know you follow Australian rugby leagues. What do you make of Ipswich Jets?
Yeah, well, I've known about them for God knows how long, from the old sort of the likes of Brisbane and so on, joining the NRL. When they were played in the Queensland League. They're a really good, proper established club. I suppose it's hard because they don't really have. They do have a second tier in Australia. It's not the same as ours, but you would probably say they're very much a Halifax or a Featherstone or something like that in terms of the club itself. It's the heart of a community, and it's massive over there. I mean, Ipswich is it's a fairly big place in terms of Australia in the size of the towns, but it's got a really good reputation. It's a proper solid club. I mean, there are quite a few in Queensland that you can reel off as clubs that have been around for years and always produce players for the likes of Brisbane and the bigger the Sydney clubs. They've had some great players through there. I mean, the best one probably ever they've had was Alfie Langer, and if we can team up with them and find one of them, I think we'd be more than happy. But I think the club itself, because of its reputation in Australia, I think it's a great thing for us in terms of getting hopefully some training over there at some point. Obviously not yet with COVID and so on, but these young players we're trying to get into the reserves and then hopefully an academy to say for whatever time you're going to go over there and train with them, and some of theirs will probably come over here and train with us, a bit of a swap and that kind of thing. I think it's brilliant because it is a proper rugby league club. It's steeped in rugby league and it prides itself on what it does. I think the experience it'll give to the younger lads when they, if they do get a chance to go out, and some of the older ones, it's phenomenal. But a great club, really big in terms of Australian sport. Obviously not well known over here because it's not covered in the same way. In the same way that our championship doesn't get transmitted over there. But yeah, I'm delighted with it. I think it's a brilliant move from the club. And talking to a few people the other night at the club, and they're really excited about it. They think it's only going to be a benefit to both teams. Hopefully, like I say, if COVID clears up or travel eases, but we'll see the best of it.
Opportunity club gives and gets opportunity, Paul.
Yeah, I think it's a great storyline. Like Paul said, they might not be in the NRL, but they're a club that's got an awful lot of history in Australia, as you mentioned there, Alfie Langer. And I think another thing as well, it sort of gets our name on the other side of the world. People in Australia think, oh, Salford, yeah, I've heard of them. They played in the grand final a few years ago. So it does help our reputation as well. And will it help us when we're bringing players over or we're trying to recruit players in Australia? So I think it's great. And I think the training aspect of it as well, if you can go and do a bit of warm weather training over in Australia or go and train on that side of the world, I think it's tremendous. So yeah, really exciting link up that with Ipswich Jets. I mean, I'm going to start following them. They're going to become my Australian team now. Because are they in the same league as like Burleigh Bears and the Cutters? The Mackay Cutters and a few other teams like that? Yeah, I have heard of them. So yeah, I'm going to start following them now. Yeah, I'll start following them now.
You just wanted a match report there. That's what you want.
Well, if they've got like a podcast, the Ipswich Jets, we could do like an exchange trip.
Yeah.
They could come over here, we could go over there.
Oh, yeah.
Pals, couldn't they?
That was the pretty face.
If anyone's listening in Ipswich and Actually, I'd be quite good. That we could have a match report every week from someone, which we could send one down there as well. That'd be good for continental relationships, Parky.
Yeah, like it. Yeah, so it's a trade every 6 months. Yeah, be happy with that.
We could even try the coach, Kieran Lander. We could always have him. He is his first sort of coaching job. He's been there for 6 years as an assistant, but probably is it too soon? Do you think we could we borrow him? Do you reckon, Paul?
Borrow him for what?
Our head coach.
Oh, our head coach. Yeah, why not? When I was saying about an exchange, I didn't just mean exchanging reviews. I meant us go over to Australia.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, we'll have to start slow. We'll have to start.
Yeah. I've got an house here where they can stay. Come and stay at my house with my missus while I go over there for a few weeks. No, I think it's great. I think it's a really good news story, that. And it was just a shame that then obviously just after that we had the story about Richard Marshall, didn't we? So Salford, they give you one thing and then take something away, don't they? Definitely an exciting prospect for the future. That definitely.
Yeah, other news, Parker, our learning disabilities team played at York Festival this weekend. Seemed like they had a good time and played some good rugby.
Yeah, brilliant news. I saw it on Twitter earlier today, and I was delighted with it. I wasn't aware it was fully up and running as such. It's fantastic. What a job them lads are doing it. Well, and ladies behind the scenes. The club the foundation and everything else, getting these people together and getting it all organised, and I can't speak highly enough of them, and I hope very soon we get to see him play. We get to see him at the AJ Bell or wherever, at least pre-match or whatever. Let's see what skills we've got. More the merrier. We said again something else we said early in the year, and the club have gone on about that they want is, they want this team, they want the ladies team, they want back to an academy, hopefully a reserve team, a full whole club again, and I think this is a great step. I can't wait to see them. So hopefully they'll have a number of fixtures lined up. That'd be great. But yeah, it seems to go really well from what I've read of it. Yeah,
it's like I said before, it's about building a philosophy, and this is the kind of thing that helps Paul. Like you say, Parky said, they're looking for ladies' sides, reserve sides, and everyone under that one Salford Devils umbrella helps. Obviously, the playing side and the community side, because obviously they'll be representing the city, and people in the city will buy into it.
Said it to you a few weeks ago, didn't you, about people coming on the journey with Salford Rugby Club, and I think so. I think it's tremendous that you can get people from all walks of life being involved and making them feel just that little part of the club. Making you feel like you've got a role in that. So I think it's tremendous that the work that people do, the volunteers and things like that, foundation, it's great. And if we can get a ladies team up and running as well, the more teams and the more people we've got involved with it, the better.
Yeah. Scotland call-ups, international scene is kicking in. Obviously with the World Cup not happening this year, our home nations will be playing. I think it's Jamaica. I think Scotland are playing. Danny Ade, Sam Luckley and Ryan Braley called up there, Parky. It'd be good to get experience in the off-season playing international rugby.
That will be a massive test for Scotland. I think the Jamaican squad, if it's half as good as what I've heard it might be, is going to be a real threat. I know they play the England Knights after that, and I think they'd give them a test. So for Scotland and our lads that are involved, I mean, the likes of Luckley, a guy I think we've all sort of fallen in love with in some way. Delighted for the first year in Super League, he's come through that, and look where he is now. I mean, it's good, more representative for Salford, and who knows. I don't know what's happening with the home nations this time, how many games they're going to play, but whether the Welsh are going to get a few games in, and I think the French are going to play England, aren't they? So you would expect Morgan to be in there somewhere. But yeah, it's great, and it keeps lads busy and the fitness up a little bit through the winter months before they get back into the training. So as long as they don't come back injured, obviously. But yeah, no, it's great. It's great for the club to have the name, with the international players, and I wish them well, and hopefully it'll be on somewhere we can watch it. If not, it'd be nice to attend in person, but see how far and how cold it is.
like you said, Paul, it's a journey and an opportunity, and it puts our club in a spotlight internationally, which helps sort of build our brand for potential sponsors who might be looking into to sponsor us.
Of course, it does, and it's experience for the players as well. You know, a guy like Sam Luckley, who's come from, you know, from League One and climbed the ladder at Salford. I mean, like Parky said there, we have all fell in love with him because he's a tremendous character. And I think he's going to do really well for Salford. I think it'll be great next season if he keeps progressing. And it's not just, you know, the player as well. It's the whole package, I think, sometimes with players like that. You need players like that in your dressing room. You know, players that are absolutely buzzing and bouncing. And, you know, we had one in Jacko, didn't we? And if you've got players like that in your squad, I think it's only good. And especially with them playing international rugby league as well. They're getting representation, and it's pride. It's their self-pride as well, you know, playing for the country that they represent. So yeah, I'm all for that. I'm hoping to get to some of these international games. Well, really, as we said, we're all gutted about the World Cup. You know, it's just been postponed for 12 months. We'll have to wait. Hopefully, it'll make us even more excited in 2022. But I'm pretty sure these international games will whet the appetite.
Yeah. Final bit of news, Paul. Dr. Devil is no more. Diablo the Devil has appeared. What do you make of that? Obviously, we've both got kids. We both, appreciate what the mascot does. Do you think it was right for them to change it?
Yeah, because he's not involved with the club anymore, is he? The other guy. So I think so. Yeah, I thought it was a bit daft, that Dr. Devil, anyway, to be honest with you. But I don't know. I took our image into the match against St Helens, and she's 10 now. She'll be 11 in February. And she's never really been into rugby league, but she really, really enjoyed herself. She had a really good time. We had a coffee together before the game, and on the way home, she said, "Dad, I'd like to go again." And you know, I was quite chuffed because I've not got lads, and I've always wanted a lad because my dad took me when I was like 4 or 5 year old, and it's just something that me and my dad have done, and it's a bond between us, a fantastic bond that we've got. And I'm never going to have that because I don't think we're going to have any more kids. I don't think Ellen's asleep next to me, so I don't think
don't
have any more.
Not now.
You tell them what to comment on that.
She's not there to comment, but
Oh, right.
but no, and I think she wants to go again. So yeah, she really enjoyed that, and she was laughing at the mascot. So we saw him outside the ground before the game with Paul King, I think. So I thought Paul King was the new mascot, but no, I think it was good. I think the kids enjoyed that, and the St Helens game. I know we've not really spoke about it, but I enjoyed the atmosphere of it. There was an awful lot of kids there from the schools and things like that. We mentioned it the other week, didn't we, about the East Stand, maybe next season adopting that as the family stand, if you like, get that full of community clubs and full of schools and things like that, because they make a hell of a lot of noise. I know some of them cheeky sods come on the pitch at the end of the game, didn't they? But that's another story. But no, I enjoyed that, and yeah, I think it's better when you get the cheerleaders as well. I mean, we've not had them with COVID, but I just thought the whole package on Friday night against St Helens was great. You had the dancers, the mascot, and it's not really something that bothers me. I'm a rugby league student of rugby league. I love the rugby league. I'm not bothered about anything else. But no, it's part of the package, and the kids like it.
Yeah, I think is I think with Dr. Devil, he was a good brand, and obviously you moving him on, you're bringing another mascot in, you start the whole process again, Parker, and we all kind of bought into Dr. Devil, it has to be said. So it's starting that journey again with Diablo. You know, there's no reason why Diablo can't reach the heights of Dr. Devil. But you know, we'll say goodbye to Dr. Devil, wish him well, and good luck for Diablo in the future.
Yeah, I'm a bit stumped on this one, to be honest. He appeared in front of me at the game.
Well, like a vision.
I was a little bit, what is this? What is it? What's it supposed? And then obviously it worked out. I have got bad eyes, so
yeah.
That would be. Listen, you can have as many as you want for me. I'm not. If the kids love it, the kids love it. We've had so many. You know, Daredevil Duck was one of the greatest ever. You know, we go through them, and we have that. I think we've had more mascots than badges, but only just.
We had Pterodactyl.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. No, look, it was great. I just want to go on about what Paul said then about that Friday night. Friday night under lights, a decent crowd in, plenty of noise. What? It was one of the performance helps, obviously, beating Saints. I don't care who they are playing. Beating Saints is great for me. I do it every week. It was the best atmosphere in a game I've been in for ages. and it had to be the last game of the season and left me wanting more. You know, halfway through the season, I could have knocked it on the head this year and said, let's just scrap the season. It's rubbish. But I really enjoyed it. And that I suppose that added to it, that there was a bit of excitement because people are seeing something new. Strange how he shows up on Richard Marshall's last game. I'm not. Am I putting two? Is he the new coach? No. Listen, he's great. He's great for like Paul said. You know, the Angels were back, and it was just a great atmosphere. And if it's like that every week, whether you win or lose, I mean, obviously as an adult, you take it a little bit more serious. I think when you lose, you get a bit more annoyed by it. The kids will love it and they'll come back. It was a great chance for us with all them. What was it? An extra 1,500 kids in there or whatever it was. How many of them will, you know, next time we get the chance, we'll jump at it because they all loved it. And it was great to see. The game itself was good, but the atmosphere, yeah, really good. And as for the mascot, listen, if it helps, if it brings people in, if the kids love it, that's fine by me. I've got no problem with that. It can be whatever you want, as long as it's not blue.
I think what we'll do now, we'll leave our listeners wanting more. I think we'll pull this one to the closure, and we're going to put another one out towards the end of the week where we're going to talk about the Players Awards and our awards as well, which is going to be exciting. Paul?
Yeah, certainly is. Looking forward to that. And just before you sign off, just going back to mascots, I mean, you were mentioning some of there. What are your favourite ones? Do you remember that big bloke Neil Baines that we used to have? Do you remember that one? And the Power Ranger one, what? Ignito. I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was so cool the way he just walk out, pull that flare out and whip it off.
Yeah.
It was like really, really quality.
Best memory of Ignito, I think we were playing Hull, and it was like an obstacle course, and he went through this obstacle course, won, and then sort of without breaking stride, kicked a ball that was obviously positioned for someone else to kick for goal. I think it was kicked for a car or something like that, and he, without breaking stride, kicked it from like 45 yards at an angle, sailed between the posts, and that for me, kind of like that, he arrived at that point, Parker.
Yeah, I think I remember that. There were those. Yeah, it was actually. It was just like a Power Ranger, wasn't he?
Yeah.
It was a bit. No, we've had a few. And there'll be a story. A bit of a story. Not really a story. Actually, it's not even that fun. But when we do the next podcast about the sort of mascots, if you like. But that's my favourite. I don't think I've ever had one, Paul. If I'm honest with you, I've never disliked anyone. You know, they make me laugh, and that's about it. The best thing is that the person inside it.
Yeah.
The kids aren't listening, are they?
The heart and soul.
It's definitely real. He is definitely real. That they enjoy it and they get involved with the crowd. I mean, you know, our previous one, Matt Times was in the stand with the drum. I mean, that Wigan in the playoff and things like, you know, we were all together. It wasn't like that's a mascot, works for the club, comes out, says hello and goes. It was part of the fan base, really. And as long as it stays like that and it's interactive, it's a great thing. You can make a good brand out of them. I know it's hard for Salford because we haven't got a big budget to start marketing, and we can't market the club half the time. But it's great, and it's just about that person inside making it happen, enjoying it. Bradford had the Bulls, didn't it, for years, and they were always really up for it. And Ronnie the Rhino and people like that. I've seen some really dodgy ones. I think there was one at Halifax years ago. It was a dog of some sort. And had no relevance to anything, and it was awful. You know, it looked like it'd been chewed and all sorts. It was ridiculous, but no, it's a bit of fun, isn't it? And it's keeps the kids entertained because there are games plenty of times where I've wanted to walk out. So keep the kids entertained, we'll be all right.
I think there was a football club with a boiler in it. Boiler, is that right, Paul?
West Brom, yeah, sponsored by Ideal Boilers. Yeah. Well, when I used to watch a bit of football years ago, I used to go to Rochdale with my mate, and they had Desmond the Dragon.
Yes.
We went to Halifax watching him play Halifax Town, and he had a punch up with the Halifax mascot, and he ended up getting arrested. I don't know what happened, and then he got fined off the FA. They had a strap at the side of the pit. I can't remember what Halifax was, but no. And I think my mate knew it was Desmond. It was someone who used to go to the pub with him, but yeah, mad. But it's funny, good stuff.
I think I remember Alfred chasing down the St. Helens Alfred version and punching him at one point. That was quite fun. Remember that, Parker? Is that coming back to you?
Yeah, I do remember we had a massive daft things like sumos or something.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
But yeah, so we wish Diablo all the best, and I'm sure he'll be as lovable as Dr. Devil was.
Before we end, check out Paul's amateur report here.
Here is this week's Devil in the Detail amateur report. We shall start off this week with the North West Youth League. It's quite an action-packed, action-filled amateur report this week. It's quite a lot to talk about. In the North West Youth, on Sunday, in the under-18s, Rochdale Mayfield in Division 1 were beaten at home to Wigan St Jude's by 38 points to 12. In Division 2 of the under-18s, Blackbrook Blues 38, Saddleworth 18. In the under-16s Division 3, Langworthy Reds had a good win. They beat Chorley Panthers by 22 points to 8. The fixtures for this weekend: Sunday the 3rd of October, Lancashire Cup finals, and these games are all going to be played at Pilkington Rec St Helens. The under-18s, it's Oldham St Anne's against Thatto Heath. That's a kick-off at 5:15. The under-16s, Lee Minor Rangers versus Ryland Sharks. That's a 3:45 kick-off. The under-15s, Lee Minor Rangers face Wigan St Jude's at 2:15. The under-14s, it's West Bank Bears against Lee Minor Rangers at 12:45. The under-13s, Blackbrook Royals play Woolston Rovers at 11:15. The under-12s, Lee Minor Rangers versus Shevington Sharks is a 10 o'clock kick-off. In the under-18s league match, it's Lee Minor Rangers against Waterhead Warriors. In Division 2 of the under-18s, Ruth Pioneers play Langworthy. In Division 3, Leyland Warriors face Folly Lane. In the under-16s, this Sunday, Premier Division, Saddleworth Rangers at home to Salford City Roosters. In Division 2, Rochdale Mayfield under-16s play West Horton Lions. And in Division 3, Langworthy Reds under-16s at home to Golborne Parkside. In College Rugby League, that gets underway on Wednesday the 29th of September. In the Premier Division, Huddersfield Giants face Hotwood Hall and Wakefield play the Salford Red Devils Academy. Well, there's a couple of internationals for the England Community Lions under-23s and under-20s. These were played in Ireland over the weekend. It was Ireland Club Residents 18, England Community Lions under-23s 64, and Ireland under-20s 12, England Community Lions under-20s 38. So 2 wins there for the England Community Lions. The North West Men's League, the results from the weekend just gone. These games were played on Saturday the 25th of September. In Division 1, Haresfinch 56, Bury Broncos 22. Division 2, West Horton Lions 16, Wigan Springview 48. Wigan St Pat's A 31, Cadishead Rhinos 22. In Division 4, Higginshaw 46, Garswood Stags 26. The fixtures for this Saturday, 2nd of October, Division 1, Dalton face Bury Broncos. Oldham St Anne's are at home to Haresfinch. Division 2, Cadishead Rhinos play Lee Minor Rangers A. Pilkington Rex A face Folly Lane. West Horton Lions face the Thatto Heath Crusaders B. In Division 3, Crossfields A are at home to Salford City Roosters. Division 4, Higginshaw face Newton Storm, and Garswood Stags are at home to the Langworthy Reds. Moving on to the National Conference League, the Championship playoffs and Shield and Cup results at the weekend. We'll start off with the Championship playoffs. Round 2, Pilkington Rex 11, Lock Lane 0, Thatto Heath Crusaders 14, Siddle 12, Underbank Rangers 0, Hunslet Club Parkside 42, and Wathbrow Hornets 18, West Bowling 8. In the Shield, round 1, Hewith against Dewsbury Moor Maroons. That was cancelled. Hewith had no team. The Maroons progressed through to the semi-finals. Kells against Crossfield was also cancelled. Kells no team. Crossfield's no team, so Kells progressed to the semi-finals. Lee Minor Rangers 12, Rochdale Mayfield 24, Normanton Knights 6, West Hull 26. In the Cup, round 2, Egremont 10, Woolston 29, Lee East 30, Hunslet Warriors 26, Alton Raiders 16, Clockface Miners 20, and after extra time, East Leeds won at Stanley by 34 points to 32. The fixtures for this week, Saturday the 2nd of October, the Championship playoffs semi-finals. Thatto Heath Crusaders are at home to Hunslet Club Parkside, Wathbrow Hornets play Pilkington Rex. The Shield semi-finals, Kells face Rochdale Mayfield, and West Hull play Dewsbury Moor. And the Cup semi-finals, Lee East are at home to Clockface Miners, and East Leeds play Woolston Rovers. Well, the playoffs are also mounting up in the Super League and the Championships and League One as well. I'll give you the results from the week just gone. Warrington 0, Hulkingston Rovers 19, Wigan Warriors 0, Leeds Rhinos 8, 2 home sides 0 there at home. That's quite a rarity. So that means that Catalan Dragons will play Hulkingston Rovers in the semi-final. That's on Thursday night at 7:45 for a place in the grand final. The other semi-final sees St Helens at home to Leeds Rhinos 7:45 on Friday night. In the Betfred Championship, the Eliminators, the losing side are out, and these Batley Bulldogs beat Bradford 23 points to 10, and Halifax Panthers beat Whitehaven in an epic match there, 24 points to 20. So that means that the Betfred Championship semi-final, Saturday the 2nd of October, Featherstone face Halifax Panthers at 5:30, and Toulouse Olympic at the earlier time of 3:15 play Batley Bulldogs. I'm running out of steam here. Betfred League 1 qualifying semi-final, Workington Town and Keighley Cougars went to extra time. Golden Point extra time. It was a penalty goal that won it in the end. Workington Town 18, Keighley Cougars 16. The elimination semi-final, North Wales Crusaders 34, Doncaster 48. So that means that the losers, Keighley Cougars, will now play the winners of that elimination game on Sunday the 3rd of October. The preliminary final, Keighley Cougars face Doncaster, and the kick-off time to that is to be confirmed. That's all I've got for you this week. I told you it was an action-packed one. Enjoy your week. I shall see you next week.
For everybody. So that's the end of this week's podcast. We'll be back in the later in the week. Big thanks for tuning in. I'm Brett Parkinson. You can find us on Facebook, Devil the Detail SRD. You can find us on Twitter at DITDSRD. And you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Radio Contact, Spotify, and YouTube. See you next week.